building with a purpose. Okay, so the way I think about networking is very transactional, right? I'm networking because I have something I want to get from you, right? And I'm going to chase you. I'm going to get to know you just because I want something from you, right? Exactly. I think Gerald describes it very well. Networking is seeking to gain from an immediate point of view. Relationship building is more into mutually beneficial and doesn't always have to involve money. Yes, right? Networking is what I can get. Relationship building is what I can give. Okay, fine. Some good ideas here. But in my experience, the big difference between networking and relationship building is the nature of whether you think of it as a transaction or whether you're trying to build a long-term relationship. And those are different things, right? And so I will encourage you to not do networking and rather invest in relationship building. So one will say, okay, how do you build relationships and how is that different from just doing transactions and doing networking? Relationship building, in my mind, has 4 steps, right? The first step of relationship building is the connection, right? You go to a party, you're at an event, you're sitting on a train, you meet someone and you have a connection. There's that chemistry between you and the other person. There's something that you find you have in common. Maybe you have some mutual friends, you have some mutual passions, and something that says, this person is interesting, I want to get to know them. And they also feel the same way. You exchange business cards or phone numbers or WhatsApp messages, or whatever. That's the first stage, connection. Then the second step to relationship building is repeated interaction, right? You have to follow up with the person you met, call them, have lunch with them, go and see what they do. They come and see what you do. You spend time, you go on walks together, whatever it is, you have coffee. And through the repeated interaction, they get to see who you are and you get to see who they are. You understand each other's values. You understand your passions. You understand your history. And you start to see whether there's someone you can, who does what they say they're going to do, right? Do they have integrity, etc.? Do you have integrity? They see who you are, you see who they are. And most people do not even go from the connection to continuous interaction. 99% of people you meet, you follow up with them, they won't follow up, respond back to you. That means, well, it was a passing connection, right? But exchanging emails, you're seeing each other and you're still seeing that there's something there. Then it gets to the third stage, which is trust. Once you've had continuous interaction with someone, you get to trust. And once you have trust, that is when you finally now get to a collaboration, right? Which is stage 4. You now collaborate. The person maybe invests in you, they join your board, they open doors to a customer that you might want, they open doors for a government issue you might be facing, and you start to collaborate, but they're collaborating with you in a mutually beneficial way. You're not just taking stuff from them, you're not just using them, right? You're building relationships, right? And so those are the 4 stages that I want you to remember. First, the connection, then continuous interaction, and then trust, and then finally you get to collaboration. The mistake I see a lot of people make is they try to rush to collaboration too quickly. You meet someone and you're like, please invest in my company. There's no way they will invest in your company. They don't know who you are. They don't know if you are a serial killer, you've just come out of jail, you are corrupt, you are a fly-by-night person. There's no way they're going to give you money. And don't be upset with them, even if they're a billionaire and whatever, and they could give you money without them getting to know you, without you building a relationship with them. There's no way they'll turn around and give you money, right? So I see a lot of people frustrated. Oh, I went to that conference and I didn't come away with a deal. Or I went to that customer and they didn't buy my product. Or I went to, to meet that rich person and they didn't invest in my business. Yeah, because you haven't gone through the stages of relationship building with them. And so that's the one mistake I see a lot of people make, rushing to that stage, the final stage. You have to invest and take time and build those relationships and go through those forces. Now, people will move at different paces in terms of when they get there, but you have to have that mindset. And if you do, you'll find that the world will be your oyster. The other thing I also say is build relationships for relationships' sake, not because you are trying to get something up, because people can see through you. When you're at a cocktail party and you are talking to someone, you're like, You're not really interested in them. You're looking around to see who's more important, who could be a better deal for you. That's not relationship building. Right? That's maybe networking, right? You're not going to get to the next stage of continuous interaction and trust and everything, right? And so 95% of the people that I meet and that I invest in relationships with never end up in anything that benefits me, right? I never do business with them. They don't invest in me. I don't buy stuff from me. I don't do any business with them. But you know what? It makes life so much worth living. It makes life so much richer, right? Because I really believe that life is not about how much money you have, how much fame you have, but it's about who you spend it with, right? And so building relationships enriches your life and makes sure that you end up living a really fulfilling life, even if you don't do business with someone, even if you don't benefit from them in that traditional sense, right? So I'll tell you a story that really illustrates, a couple of stories that really illustrates the power of relationship building. I was in Silicon Valley once at a conference, and there were about maybe 200 people in this conference room, and someone walked in who was the billionaire, right? Very wealthy woman in Silicon Valley. It's worth about $20 billion. And everyone rushed to, this person because they were trying to network with them and exchange business cards and whatever. And I walked into the room and I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to go there and be in the field of all those people. I'll try and meet this other person later on. And I just looked around the room, and there was a woman sitting at a table, very plainly dressed by herself. She didn't look like she was wearing a fancy suit or Prada bag or anything. She just looked like a normal person. I just went, I sat next to her and started just talking to her, and again, just building relationship just for relationship's sake. I wasn't trying to do a transaction. And we got to talk, and as we spoke, eventually, after about half an hour, the subject got to the point of, oh, so what do you do? And she asked me, I told her what I do. I said, what do you do? She's like, oh, I work for the family office of, a Silicon Valley person. And I said, oh, are they an entrepreneur? She said, yeah, they're an entrepreneur. And I said, what kind of business are they in? Sorry, what kind of things do you invest in? So we support, you like businesses in this area and this area. And one of the things she mentioned is that they also give money to things in Parkinson's research and things like that. So after a while, I was like, what's the name of the entrepreneur behind, your family office? She says, oh, Sergey Brin, right? This is one of the founders of Google, right? So this guy, I was sitting next to the woman who was running the family office of someone worth $34 billion, the founder of Google. Today he's worth like 60 billion or 100 billion or whatever. And no one in the room knew that person. No one knew that she was the link to that person. And I was sitting next to her, right? And I was the only one who had started that connection. And everyone else was rushing because they were trying to be transactional. And I just wanted to build a relationship for relationship's sake, right? And, we exchanged numbers and whatever, but I didn't follow up. We followed up once or twice, but there was no real opportunity for us to do the continuous interaction. And we didn't really have any other reasons to continue building the relationship, right? But again, if there had been some reason for us to do that, I would have had a relationship with directly to the founder of Google, and we could have done some great business, right? But again, I don't think that was the point of that story is really just showing you how when you invest in relationship building for relationship building sake, the kind of opportunities that open up for you, and how the world can then conspire to allow you to really fulfill your dreams, and to can raise enormous amounts of capital, enormous amounts of, get access to customers and all the things that you might want to be doing as an entrepreneur, right? And I didn't chase this person to try and force a transaction, right? And they're just part of my network. Yes, if I want to one day get to the founder of Google, I know this woman, right? But if we haven't found a reason for me to do that, it's fine. Just build relationships for relationship's sake, right? And so that's an example of the power of just being intentional about relationship building and not focused on transactions and simply just trying to get things in the moment and looking around and see how you can use people. People do not want to be used, right? And they can see through you if that's all that you're trying to do. Right? And so, you know, that's just one example of how this mindset of relationship building and going out and just building relationship for relationship's sake. You know, today, this methodology has led me to meet all kinds of people. You know, I have met Barack Obama, I've met Bill Gates, I've met, you know, everyone you can think of, right? Mo Ibrahim, all these people that I have now got in my community of, you know, people that I know. And it's simply by just investing in relationships, not trying to do transactions, right? The final thing I'll talk about is the importance of relationship building with your team and with your co-founders, right? It's as important to invest in relationship building inside the organization as it is to invest in relationship building outside of it. One of the temptations as a founder is a lot of pressure, and you're trying to raise money all the time, and you're trying to get customers, and you're spending time going out, and you're only focused outside of the organization on your on the relationship, on trying to build relationships with you know, things that you think will grow your business, right? That's a very dangerous thing to do, because the people who are within your organization as well do not want to be treated like things that are just tools to be used for your purpose, right? It's important to build relationships with people and to show that you care about them as much as you care about what they can do to your company, right? So the same 4 steps of relationship building, you can apply them to external, you know, partners, stakeholders, your funders, your potential investors, your potential customers, everything, but you should also be applying them internally to your own team, getting to know them, just to get to know them, so you can spending time with them, building through continuous interaction, getting to trust. And then from trust, you get to collaboration. And then those people will work much harder for you than you can ever imagine, because they understand that you care about them as people, not just as tools and assets to achieve something. And once you build that relationship with your staff, they will go over and above for you. They will work much harder than you ever expected, because they now see that you see them as a person, not just as a you know, something to use, right, for your end goals, right? So I'll stop there, but really, again, underscoring that, you know, people ask me, oh, you know, can you connect me to someone because you know this people? Yeah, I can connect. You know, even if I connect you, you're not going to get what you want, because that is not how the world works. Invest in relationships, right? And so it's that simple. This is really the answer to one of the things that I think many of you stress about. And I hope today you've got some very practical steps about how you can do this. And that, you know, and I encourage you again to invest in relationship building. It is, and just when you think you don't have time to invest in relationship building because you're so busy, is exactly when you should be investing in relationships, right? And the world will just open up. All right, we'll take some questions now, I guess, right?